In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to properly configure your flow.json file. I've gotten this question a lot of times, and a lot of people don't know how to configure it properly or what configuring it properly actually does or why it's good for you. So I'm going to be showing you that in today's video. So obviously, the first thing you want to do is to create one when you're developing your own flow project. So I'm going to type flow init here, and that creates a blank flow.json file. So for the purposes of this video, I have a couple files here. One is hello world, which is just a contract that allows you to, read a greeting and also to change a greeting, which I just realized I didn't even set this up correctly. This function allows you to, set your greeting variable equal to a new one that you pass in, whatever. This script allows you to read the greeting, and this transaction allows you to change it. So what I'm going to show you first is how to use the flow.json to deploy, to deploy contracts. So it automatically creates a emulator account for you. And so what you can actually do is make a deployments object. And the deployments object is what you use, obviously, to deploy contracts. And the way you set it up is you do, a object for the network that you're on. So, for example, emulator testnet mainnet. And then in that object, you do another, key value pair where the key is the name of the account you're using, and that has to be an account that is present under the accounts object. So in this case, emulator account is already configured right here. And then inside of that, you actually provide an array of all the contracts you would like to deploy. So in this case, I want to deploy the hello world contract to the emulator account. The only problem is flow.json doesn't know what hello world means. So we have to tell it what that is. So we can make a contracts object where in here we provide hello world as the key, and the object needs two things. One is the source, aka where that contract is in your project, and so this is just the path name to that. And two is an aliases key value pair. So aliases is just simply where your object exists on all the networks. So right now, and I'll get to that in a bit, but right now, obviously, our hello world contract is not deployed anywhere, so we're not going to fill this in with anything yet, okay? So let's just keep it at that. So now that we have this, we can actually go ahead and deploy our contract. So what I'm going to do is quickly just start up an emulator instance. So I'm going to start a little emulator, and then in another tab, I'm going to run flow project to deploy where the network equals emulator, just like that. So if I run this, we should see that the hello world contract is deployed. And so it's deployed to the service account, which is, the account it creates for us. And this is the address. So what we can do is inside our aliases dictionary, we can say emulator. On the emulator, it maps to this address, which is great. And the reason that providing the aliases is so helpful is because let's say we go to our script right here. Right now, if we were to run this script, it would actually work fine. But it's annoying because, sometimes when you have a ton of script files and a ton of transaction files, it's really annoying to have, they have to write out the file path for your contract every single time. So what we can do instead is literally just say import hello world in quotes. And it'll actually automatically know that this hello world contract exists here and know all of its source code. So actually, if I delete greeting here and do dot, it actually starts auto-filling in a bunch of fields that we can read here, and functions that we can call because it knows where hello world is. And again, that's because we configured it inside our contracts object right here because we told it the source. So it automatically fills it in for us. And if we were to go ahead and actually run this script, let's just say flow scripts execute /script/read greeting. That's the name of the file, just like that. And then we say network equals emulator. You actually see that it returns hello world, and that's because I think, that's the greeting that I set it to right here, right? Hello world. So perfect. And again, it knows that when I run this script, it knows that hello world exists at this address because we supplied it inside of the emulator. So let's actually go ahead now and let's create another account. So flow accounts, let's actually just stop the emulator and let's run flow accounts create, just like that. And we're going to create a new account called testnet account. Okay, so we provide that in. We want it on testnet, and it's going to quickly do this. And by the time this is over, we should see actually that if I go, I'm actually going to stay in this tab so you can see it complete, but it should be done. Now, if we go back to our file here, it automatically filled in the new account under our, accounts object here. So that's great. And it also provided a git ignore with the private key in another file. So here is the private key, okay, to that account. So what we can do is we can, let's in deployments, let's actually deploy Hello World account to the account that we just made. So we can have a, another testnet object for, everything on testnet. And the name of the account is testnet account. So we can go ahead and paste that right here. And we want to deploy, oh, sorry, it should be an array, hello world, okay? So we can do that. Now let's go ahead and go back to our terminal and run flow project deploy network equals testnet. And we should see it is deploying just fine. Now it's going to deploy it to this address. So we can see it actually deployed it to this address. So let's also add that as an alias. If we go back to our flow.json, let's go to our contract here. It also automatically rearranged everything. And let's add a testnet alias for where this contract exists. So that now, if I go ahead and run, again, flow scripts execute read greeting on network testnet, it automatically knows where to look on testnet, right? Because we've configured that as our alias right here. We can actually do the same exact thing if we go back to our, our transaction. We can also change this to hello world and then run a simple transaction where we could say flow transactions send dot slash transactions slash change greeting dot cdc, and we actually have to provide it a new greeting. So let's just provide like goodbye world or something where we say goodbye world, and then network equals testnet, and you also have to provide a signer flag for transactions where the signer equals testnet account, which is the name of the account right here, right? So let's go back and run this, and we should see that the transaction is sending, which is great. And this should be done, oh, it was done super quick. And now if we go back and read the greeting again, it says goodbye world, right? So we have now properly set up our flow.json. So this is everything that, I do when I develop. Of course, if you have other contracts here, you want to provide them under this contracts object, and you want to provide all the aliases for your contracts so that when you're developing, it automatically knows how to replace those addresses. And when you're in FCL, actually, it's super helpful because you can actually load this flow.json into your FCL config, and it will automatically replace all these addresses when you're running scripts and transactions in FCL2, but I'll leave that for another video. So thanks everyone for watching, and I hope this helps you set up your flow.json for your project. Peace out.